All right, so hello everyone. My name is Becky with Scott Roy Marketing. Today we are going to be doing our DocuSign 101 class. So we'll be covering DocuSign, and I just see a comment. Are we supposed to be hearing anything? Can anyone hear me? If you can confirm in the chat that you can hear me, that would be great. Want to make sure. Alrighty, thank you. I appreciate that, y'all. Um, Okay, perfect. Glad you can hear us now. Yeah, so we are going to be getting going with our DocuSign 101. Um, so DocuSign is a signature platform that you use in conjunction with Command. Most market centers do use DocuSign. So we'll jump into that. We'll kind of cover a little more what DocuSign is and how to use it. But first, want to cover a couple things. If you are watching this back on recording, you can reach out to us at any point with any questions at support@scottroymarketing.com. If you are here with me live, please drop those questions in the chat as we go through. I'll do my best to get those answered in real time. However, for the sake of timing, I may have to save them for the end. But we'll make sure we save a couple minutes at the end to answer those questions so that y'all have all those answers you need. So feel free to drop them as we go through. I won't be ignoring you. I will see them come in. And if I can answer it quick, I'll grab it. But otherwise, stay till the end and we'll get you taken care of. So no worries there. I'm going to go ahead and drop our email address in the chat as well. It is support@scottroymarketing.com. Um, that goes for those watching this on recording and everyone here with us live. You can reach out to us via email, support@scottroymarketing.com. For example, maybe you have a specific error in your account that you're seeing that we might not be able to troubleshoot over this class today. However, you can always reach out to us and we can take a look at your account specifically for you. Um, or if you think of questions later on, you watch this back on recording later on, and you're like, oh, I had a question about this. Again, feel free to email us. We're here to help out. We got you covered. Um, we also have our YouTube channel, which I am dropping in the chat as well. It is Scott Lloyd Marketing on YouTube. I'm actually going to go ahead and pull it up just to point out a thing or two here. So when you are on the Scott Leroy Marketing YouTube channel, we strongly recommend that you check out the videos tab. So you can look down here. It'll show the videos tab down here, just a preview of it. It'll show our most, I believe, 10 or 15 most recent videos. So you'll see those appear down there, but you can also just click the videos tab up top and it will take you over to the videos tab. We do recommend the videos tab just because it will show you the most recent videos. Things are always changing with Command, the services that we offer here at SLM. And so we do always recommend making sure you're finding those most recent videos when you're looking it up. So for example, today's class, we'll just search for DocuSign 101. So if you search DocuSign 101, the first one that pops up is 2 years ago, and then 1 year ago, and you'll see. And then we get all the way down to one that's 3 weeks ago, which would be our most recent class. So if you are searching, just make sure you're paying attention to those dates on here. You want to make sure it's up to date, layouts change, things like that, and it can get a little confusing. Um, Today's class recording will be posted on our YouTube channel. So again, right at the very top of our videos tab, by the end of the business day today. So you should have access to that later on. So with all that said, we're going to go ahead and jump in. We're going to start off in Command, and then we're going to make our way over to DocuSign. But the first thing we want to do in Command is we want to check on our status of the connection to DocuSign. So KW has a specific DocuSign Rooms account that they do that you set up. So it's free for agents through KW. It's specifically DocuSign Rooms, which is different than DocuSign e-signature. It does have the DocuSign e-signature platform integrated with it. However, DocuSign Rooms is how you're going to connect your opportunities to Command to submit them for review by your market center, things like that. So KW DocuSign Rooms accounts have to be created in Command first, and then you can do the setup from there. So we're going to start off again in our Command account, agent.kw.com. We're going to click our drop-down menu under our name right over here. and we are going to click Settings. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect this just so I can show you how you can connect it. But when you are here, you are going to see digital signature platforms. So these are how you're going to send out forms and documents for signature to your clients as you go through the transaction process. I actually would recommend checking out, we have an opportunities class if you're looking into that. If you're interested in learning more about the opportunities and sales pipeline process, the name of the class is Opportunities and Sales Pipeline. It's kind of like a part one or part two to this. It doesn't necessarily matter because they work together hand in hand. So it doesn't matter which order you watch it in, but they do work together. The two classes go together very well. So I highly recommend you check it out. Again, it's called Opportunities and Sales Pipeline Overview. We have that on our YouTube channel, so feel free to check that out. But we're going to look here. And you will see under your settings, you're going to see two options. So you'll see DocuSign and .loop. Some market centers do use .loop, and some use DocuSign. Most we work with use DocuSign, so that's what we're going to be covering today. Most market centers moved over to DocuSign from .loop a while ago, when there was a change to the subscription settings through KW and stuff like that. So most of them are using DocuSign now. A few states and some Canadian agents may get forms from a different platform. So if your market center is not using DocuSign, you don't necessarily have to worry about that. Just ask your market center staff if you're not sure what signature platform they're using, and they can help get you straightened out on that for sure. So now we're going to look at how we can connect the account. So we're going to be here, again, for people that are just joining in. We just logged into Command, clicked the drop-down menu under our name, and then we navigated to Settings. And that brings us to our application settings right here. So we have our DocuSign right here. We're just going to click Connect Account. And we have options here. So we can enter our preferred email right here. If we need to create a new account. Again, if you're creating an account for KW DocuSign Rooms account, you have to create it through Command. So you'll want to come here, enter your email address right here. And then you would click Send Registration Email. It'll send that email over to the email address you entered in, and then you can follow the instructions from there. I'm going to go ahead and click Log In here. If you already have an existing DocuSign Rooms account, you can do that through here. Let me grab these logins real quick. So once you enter in your email, give me just a second. Just realized you probably can't see my pop-up, so hold on. Let me adjust this real quick. There we go. You should be able to see that now. So once we entered in our email address, then it gave us this pop-up for DocuSign to sign in. So we're going to enter our password in right there. Just a second, let me grab it. It brings us to a separate window. We'll log in with our password, and we'll see a blue banner up top saying that it is ready and it's been connected. If you just created a new account, you're going to see a button right here that says Authorize. So once you create that account, you'll click Authorize just to finalize that connection. But you should see Connected as the current status. So now that we've got that connected, if you need to disconnect, you can do that here. A lot of you watched me do that a minute ago. Yeah, so that is how we connect our command, or our DocuSign, sorry. And now we want to go over to our opportunities. So DocuSign Rooms. So our DocuSign account is now created. In order to create a DocuSign room linked to a specific opportunity, it needs to be created from the Opportunities section of Command. So we'll go here. We're going to go to the Opportunities tab. It's going to be the two hands shaking on the very far left. We'll click that. Give it a second to load. And through here, we're going to see our different opportunity pipelines. So we'll see, let's see here. We'll grab this one. We're just going to grab the listing or the opportunity. Hopefully this already has a DocuSign. Sorry, I should have found this beforehand. That was what I just looked at. It was connected. So sorry, y'all. Give me just a second. Let me grab an opportunity. This is a demo account, so some of our opportunities are already connected. So I'm just going to go ahead. Going to create one real fast. All right, so I know I went through creating an opportunity really fast, so we do have a class and a tip video on how to create those if you need that. But now that we have our opportunity, we're going to go over to the Documents tab right here. And from here, you're going to be able to choose a checklist and sync with DocuSign. So they recently changed the name of this button. It used to be go to transaction or start a transaction. They just changed it to actually show DocuSign. If you have DocuSign and .loop connected, it's going to show sync with document provider, I believe is what the button's called now. They just changed this within the past couple days. So, and so if you have both DocuSign and .loop, it's going to say sync with document provider. You'll click on it and it'll have you select between DocuSign and .loop. So you'll find that there. If you are not already seeing it broken down like this and that button right there, it may be grayed out, kind of like this one is. It's likely just because you need to select a checklist type. So market centers are a little bit different. Some market centers automatically have it select a checklist type because they don't have any other options. So this demo account is linked to a market center that only has residential checklist types, but some market centers have more. And that's just kind of the different ways that they're broken down as to what documents are required. So if you need to, if it says select a checklist type, you'll just click this drop-down menu right here and select the one from right there. Once you do that, we're going to click sync with DocuSign. We'll take a second. Want it to be a little slow. There we go. So once that's loaded, then we can come straight to DocuSign in order to log into the account. We can access the rooms directly from our DocuSign account, and we won't have to go through the opportunity individually each time once we've created it directly from the opportunity. So again, it needs to be started from the opportunity. However, after it's been started, the room has been opened, you'll be able to access the room through the opportunity, but you can also just go straight to DocuSign to access it. One thing I do want to point out about the opportunity is the details tab. You'll see now that I've synced it or linked it to a DocuSign room, you'll see that some of this information has a synced button next to it. You can continue to sync it, but as you add addresses and information to the contacts, and some of these key dates, you'll see those populate over to the DocuSign. You would just click sync transaction and it will show up on your DocuSign as well. So this information is just going to feed over to DocuSign. So the more information you have under the details tab may make your life easier. It's not necessarily a huge deal because you can still add it from the DocuSign side, and I'm going to show you how in just a second. So yeah, so we're going to go over to DocuSign and we'll spend pretty much the rest of the class in DocuSign going over the various aspects of DocuSign. But one thing I do want to point out before we jump into the room itself is making sure you have your forms integrated with your DocuSign account. So we'll go over, we're going to click, actually, I'm just going to go to the DocuSign dashboard so we can kind of start in the same place. You can access it directly from there. But if you click your name in the top right corner, then you will be able to see preferences right here. And under preferences, we're going to go down to integrations. And under integrations, this is where we are going to link our DocuSign forms. So you'll see mine has company forms. We can add company forms and our NAR forms. So we would just click add provider right here. And then we can pick our NAR association and enter our NERDS ID or our M1 number. The names are the same thing, or they're changing the name from NERDS to M1 from what I've heard, but I think most people know it better as a NERDS ID. So you would enter that there. You'll see this, mine says continue to company forms without validation. If your company forms are not already integrated, mine are, which is why mine's grayed out. This will be a blue hyperlink. So if it's a blue hyperlink, you'll want to click on that, and it's going to integrate those forms for you, just your company ones, and then you can also add your NAR forms provided by your MLS, things like that. They'll all be integrated through here. Again, some states and Canadian agents get forms from a third-party platform like Web Forms or AuthentiSign or from your MLS. So those would be a little bit different of a process where some places they have you get the forms and then upload them to your DocuSign manually. So if that's the case, go ahead with how you've been told by your Market Center staff on that one. It's a little bit different, but for most states, you'll follow those instructions there. So yeah, so we can also link zip forms if your Market Center is using zip forms. So you would just click that button right there and you'll grab that. You'll enter in your zip forms username and password. This can be a little confusing as to what username and password you're entering in here. You don't want to enter your MLS logins. It would be your zip form specifically. So you'd want to enter those in and then connect it through there if you need to integrate those forms. So now we're going to go over to our DocuSign room that we were in a few minutes ago. I'm going to go grab it. Alrighty. So once we're in here, you can see the different details fields. And like we were talking about on our opportunity details page, this is going to be that same information and they'll sync between the two. So if you update it over on your opportunity and sync the opportunity, sync the transaction through here, it'll show up here and vice versa. So you'll be able to sync those, edit these if you need to add more information. There are a ton of fields. You likely won't have all to fill out all of these fields. In fact, you probably shouldn't fill out all of these fields. Not all of them are going to show up on documents and things like that. So probably the more you do it, the more you'll get used to what your forms look like and what information you need in there. So we would just recommend filling out that information you'll need, and then it can auto-populate over to the document. If you want to add forms to your DocuSign room, you're going to go to the Documents tab. Give it a second to load. I think everything wants to take a minute for me over here loading today. Okay. It really does want to take a minute. So you'll just click, I'm gonna see if it'll let me do it. So you'll just click add right up here. There we go. And then you can add DocuSign forms. If you need to upload them directly from your computer, you can do that here. DocuSign forms you can upload here. So that'll be those forms we just integrated. Zip forms, if you have your zip forms connected, you'll be able to integrate them through here. As well as Box, Dropbox, and Google Drive, you can add form directly from those platforms as well if you need to. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to click DocuSign Forms. And then it's going to have a bunch of forms that we can pick from through here. I'm going to grab Go through here and then you'll just go through and find the forms that you need. You'll see your different packets created by your market center, as well as the different libraries so that you can pick the forms that you need to grab through here. I don't know why it's showing all these. It did this to me last time. Um, we'll go here. We'll just grab some of these so that we can take a look at those. I really wanted to grab a trying to find one. We'll go that. Okay, there we go. That's what I was looking for. So yeah, so Inspire will grab that one. You can click to the selected tab and see the ones that you've already grabbed if you need to. And then you can just click add selected. Say successfully added to the room. You should see them already pull up, but since mine was still spinning, I just had to refresh and it loads. And you'll see it through here. You can click on the individual forms if you want to go in and edit them, fill out the information on the form in your room. Give it a second. Alrighty, so then you'll see right here, you'll see some of these automatically fill in from that information we put in our opportunity. So you'll see your buyer's information pull up here, the firm name, the date, or you can fill out the date right here. So you can go in and you can enter in the information. And you can go fill those out as much as you'd like. You may see some of these look like they're overlapping a little bit. It actually looks pretty good on this one. Um, but these are set by the market center, so you might see some of them, the boxes look a little bigger, but don't worry, once it gets to actually sent out for signature, it should line up just fine. So they might look a little bit overlapping other words or things like that, but it usually isn't a problem. So once you've filled out the things you need to fill out on there, again, you can go through, fill out any of these, boxes, and then we can just click Save and Close. And then we'll be able to send out that form for signature. We can do it with all of those. If we want to add a form from our computer, I'm going to go ahead and we'll say Add Computer. Hmm. Hopefully that was the right one. Hold on just a second. Let me grab the right one because that's not really what I wanted to add. I'm gonna remove that and then we'll add one again. Hold on. Let's try this again. Let me make sure I'm grabbing the right thing here. So hold on. I'm sorry, y'all. There we go. That's what I wanted to grab. So we'll see that, then we can view it. It's still, the preview is still being built because I just uploaded it. So we can look at that again in a minute. Or you can try refreshing, see if that'll work. There we go. And then you'll see the form that you just uploaded appear here. So you can see that if it needs to be informational. We'll go through how to add checkboxes and stuff like that later in just a few minutes. Another thing I wanted to point out that I should have pointed out when we were talking about integrating forms into DocuSign, if you have a specific form that you need to add, you can just go to the inbox right here and you can actually email forms to yourself to have them upload. So you'll see when you go to inbox, you'll see an email address right here. So this is going to be your inbox email address. And so the documents that you send to this address are just going to appear through the inbox right here. So you can just send an email. Maybe if someone else is sending over a document for you and you need to add it to your DocuSign room, you can have them send it to this email address, or you can send it to yourself at this email address, and it'll pull up here, and then you can pull those documents into the individual rooms from there. Um, we're going to go back over to our room. All right, go in there, documents. All right. So now that we're back in here, sorry, I should have showed you that earlier. So we're bouncing around a little bit. But once we're under the Documents tab, we can search for documents through here. We can filter documents. We can, sort the name here. We can sort by active, all archived, or required. So if we archive a document, we're able to do that through there. We also have the option to click the Actions button and export a room summary, add a folder, or leave the room or things like that. We can select individual documents. So in order to edit the documents and send them out for signature, we have to add them to an envelope. So I'll show you that in just a second. But we would just select our documents right here that we want to add. Let me just grab the ones you want to add to the envelope. There we go. And once you select them, you're going to see this action menu appear right here. So there's a couple things that I want to point out. You can copy those documents. You can move them, email them, you can print them. If you need to combine them, you can do that right here. So creating an envelope, we're going to do that in just a second. You can also download those documents, archive them, or delete them. So you have some options through here. We're going to go ahead and create an envelope, which is how we're going to send it out for signature, and how we're going to have it, edit them. So once we do that, it's going to ask, who are you sending this to? You'll want to usually select a role on who you're sending it to. So buyer's agent and buyer one is what we'll say here. We'll do that because then it'll put those text boxes or the signature boxes. When we select them, it's going to put the signature boxes in here for us. Give it a minute. All right, here we go. So now that we're in here, we have some options. We can go in and we can go down into the add recipients and we can arrange the signing order. So we can choose who needs to sign first. So maybe our client needs to sign first, and we want to sign second. It doesn't always update this. Oh, it didn't update it at all. Let's try making this number 2. Oh, not 12. There we go. Now it switched. You should be able to drag and drop it. I'm not sure why it didn't like it when I did that. I'm gonna zoom out a little bit. But yeah, so you'll be able to, if it's not working to drag and drop them, you can just change the number there and it should work for you to arrange the signing order. Make sure you have contact information here. So if you don't have an email, you can fill that in right here. You can put that there. You can choose what action they need to take. So if they need to sign, if they're an in-person signer, we can put that there. If they receive a copy, they need to view it. Specify recipients. If they're allowed to edit it, update the recipients, or if they're signing with a notary. We can do that there. We can customize, we can add a private message or an access code so that they can access it. We can also remove them from it if we need to. We have the same options under each recipient. We can add more recipients if we need. For example, if someone needs to view the documents as they come in, but they're not actually on the opportunity, you can just enter them there. And you also have those options, so maybe we can change them to they just need to view it. And we can put those there. Once we do that and we scroll down a little bit, we can add messages. So this is what the email is going to be like when they receive the email that they need to sign something. So it'll have the subject line that you can update if you would like to. We can change that to um, that. We can customize the message and language for each person if we'd like to. And then we can go through, you know, add a different language um, for each person that's receiving this email and add a specific message for them. Um, we can go through and do all of that. Then we can click next. So once we click next, we are going to be able to edit these documents and we can add signature boxes, add text boxes, add spaces for them to initial and stuff like that. So you'll be able to see all of the documents on the right-hand side over here. So you can flip between those. You'll see the text boxes right here, and they'll be filled in however they are. So you can go in, you can add text to it, fill it out. Again, we filled it out a little bit, or we filled out one of them a little bit back in the room, but we can still add more information in here. If someone needs to initial it, you're going to toggle between the people up here in the top left. So it's currently, this one's the buyer. So we can put initial, we can resize that if we need, add the date signed. Date signed, I believe, cannot be, yeah, the date signed box cannot be resized, but the initial box can, so we can make that a little bigger. Um, And then we want someone else to sign, so we'll do that. We need to initial it. Add that. Let's put that up top. So you'll see that there, so you can add those boxes however you need. And we can go down. And then you'll also see the boxes where they need to sign. So you'll be able to, it's color coded. So the green box right now is going to be buyer's agent and blue is going to be the buyer. That can change. It depends on the recipient order, I believe, is actually what changes that. So you'll see right here what the different colors mean if you're not sure. So you can add those text boxes here. We can go down. Make sure everything looks right. Make sure all of the boxes that we need filled in are filled in. Make sure we have a signature box everywhere that needs a signature box so that we're not missing signatures when it comes back. So again, this is why we wanted to make sure that we filled out, we chose, buyer one and buyer agent one when we first created it. It asked, who was signing it. So we need to make sure we select it so that it populates these boxes right here. Because with how the forms are set up, it should automatically populate it. But if you don't select that the buyer one is signing it, it's not going to populate these forms here. So I've seen some questions come in before on that where they're like, oh, it came back and said it was complete, but it wasn't, there was no signature. Turns out there wasn't a signature box put on there. So just make sure, I always recommend you scroll through and make sure the boxes are where you need them, just so that, everything goes out right the first time. You don't have a lot more work on that to have to resend it out for signature, things like that. Um, we can go through, if you need, there's a bunch of different fields on on the left side as well, if you need to add more fields. We'll just go through. So this is the flat PDF we uploaded. It's not necessarily the best example because it's a newsletter, but you'll be able, it's not a form, but you'll be able to add boxes to that as well if you import it directly from your computer. So if we need a signature, we can drag and drop that here. And again, that date signed box if we need that. We can also add, have it auto-populate the name of whoever we have selected, email, company, title, phone number, address. And then down below is where we can add text boxes. So maybe we need them to fill out a text box. So you can put that right there. And on the right-hand side, we're going to be able to see that whether it's a required field or read only. So we can change between those. We can also go ahead and change the recipient on that if we put in the wrong one. Um, so we can go, maybe we want it to be a required field and it's not read only. Um, we can go ahead and add text, or we can have it, text box that they can fill out. We can add a number, or there's check boxes if we need to add those in. And again, we can make it read only if we are going to go ahead and select it for them. Um, or they can select it on their own. Um, Same with radio buttons, we can add those in. You just hit the plus sign to add more than one, and you can keep adding them. It'll add it in a direct line. We can choose if it's a required field or not. So yeah, so we have a bunch of options on there. Um, and then once we have all the boxes we need, obviously we wouldn't send it out looking necessarily like this. Just that one looks a little wonky how I put it. But it's a demo. I was just showing you how to do it. Then you would just click send down here in the bottom right corner. I would go ahead and send it out. You can click the drop down button and send it later so you can schedule send it. Or I can click actions in the top right corner to save and close, and it'll save it as a draft. So I'm going to go ahead and save and close because I don't want to actually send this to anybody. So once we have done that, once we get those back for signature, we're going to see them under the Documents tab. And where mine shows, it's going to show the type of document. So it currently just shows that it's a form. Once it's been signed and it comes back fully complete, it's going to have a green banner down at the bottom instead of blue that says signed, and we'll have a signed copy. So it'll just add those additional files when they come back. You can see the different types. So this one's clearly the flat PDF. It does not have any form fields. But then these are editable forms. So we can look at those. We can also look at the history on the account if we need to go and view any of that. We can also see the people on this account or on this room. It'll likely be Market Center staff, things like that. So yeah, you'll be able to see all that. Once you get those back and they are fully signed, you're going to go back over to your opportunity. We're going to go to the Documents tab. And then through here, you're going to see you can choose to attach the files from DocuSign. If you need to upload them manually, you can do that as well. We'll say, we'll see that it's attaching rooms from DocuSign. If we have a folder that we're working on, if we added another folder, we can choose between those there. And then we're going to select the specific forms. So you just click the drop-down menu next to the form, and you'll be able to click on it to add it as a file and upload it. Once you've uploaded all of the forms that you need, once you have them all signed and uploaded, then you'll just be able to click Submit to Market Center, and it's going to send it over to your Market Center to review, send it back to you. So yeah, once you've added it, you'll have the option to replace it before you submit it. You can just click the three dots, and you can remove it or you can print it out. Either way, you have those options. So we can just say remove. Are you sure you want to remove it? It should work. I'm just gonna there we go. I just had to refresh it. Mine's a little slow today. You'll see that there. Just wanted to refresh it again, I guess. Yeah, well, that's actually all I had, so good timing, I guess. But if you have any questions, you can go ahead and drop them in the chat. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. If you're not sticking around for questions, thank you for joining me. I hope this was helpful for you. And if you run into questions later, run into any snags, again, feel free to email us support@scottleroymarketing.com. We are always here to help out.